Willkommen zu einer neuen Folge Vampyr. Wir haben eine neue Nacht. Und, oh, er wird vermisst. Details, er wird vermisst. Na toll. Hätten wir ihn gleich mit verschnecken sollen. Okay, also dann müssen wir ihn, glaube ich, auch nochmal suchen.
It's locked.
Was ist das jetzt hier gerade für eine komische Nebenquest, die da aktiv ist? Die da nicht mehr verfolgen. Eigentlich könnten wir hier schon uns durchfrühstücken, habe ich so das Gefühl. Soweit ich gesehen habe, sind die alle hier gesund. Deswegen mal gucken, was jetzt passiert.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Do you really believe they would come for us here? In such a public venue?
McCallum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Okay, das heißt, wir müssen zum East End und den Typen umnieten. Aber ich glaube, ich soll mal mit ihm vorher
If you
reden.
don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the guard of Priwen come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Priwen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Immer diese Lady Ashbury.
Thank you,
Ne?
Edgar.
So, dann wollen wir mal gucken, was da los ist
Sean
mit dem...
Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Ja, das sieht schon mal sehr gut aus. Und er hier ist auch weg.
What on earth happened here?
Schrecklich. Vielleicht sollten wir einfach mal dieser Blutspur folgen.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the Scal, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man, huge in fact. He seemed to radiate violence, I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Have you embraced this woman? Like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Ja. Wenn man mal so guckt. Bannstufe 20. Also. Ist ja schon mega heftig. Gucken wir mal eben, ob dieser Harvey Wo ist der denn? Da. Ach, guck mal, der ist ja mit den beiden im Personenkreis. Und der hat auch noch ein Geheimnis, das wir noch nicht wissen. Okidoki. Ich würde mal sagen, wir müssen zu den Docks. Das ist ja kein Problem mit den Docks. Da kommen wir eigentlich ganz schnell hin. Gut, einmal nach links.
It ain't human! Kill it!
Oh, 17. Meine Güte. Spann dich mal wieder. Ich hätte vielleicht doch unten lang gehen sollen. Obwohl, nee, wir müssen ja eigentlich hier lang.
Easy does it, boys. We can deal with this vermin. Get them weapons ready! Look at it! Vicious bugger!
war klar, dass der mit seinem letzten Schuss hier mit seinem Pille-Schuss trifft. Alles mitnehmen. Hier ist ja schon mega viel Blut verschmiert. Wissen wir da überhaupt lang? Gucken wir mal eben auf die Karte. Ich hätte hier durchgemusst, hinter mir. Hier irgendwie durch.
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Reed, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Ja, da brauchen wir wieder mega viele Hinweise.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Wir müssen ihn also hier irgendwie finden.
For now, everything seems under control, more or less.
Good evening, miss. I am Dr. Reed. May I ask you a few questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
As I just told you, I'm a doctor. From the Pembroke Hospital, actually.
The Pembroke Hospital, you say? I ain't paying any bill left by Clay.
I'm not here to collect payment, Miss...
Miss Edwina Cox. So what do you want then? Fancy buying something from me, maybe?
Okay, da haben wir nix.
You still use your husband's name, Edwina. Why is that?
Why shouldn't I? He may be a bloody bastard, but I'm still his wife and his name means something round here.
You never paid him a visit at the Pembroke Hospital, did you?
And I don't intend to. In Clay's case, I'm not against a medical mistake or a little help from the Spanish flu.
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
You're quite blunt, aren't you?
I like people who know what they want and say what they think. This is a time of great opportunity for those ready to embrace their destiny.
Na dann.
Goodbye, Miss.
Ach verdammt, ich wollte doch mit.
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
I'm
Über
looking
den
for
reden.
Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he was mugged or something.
Yes, he was. But he left hospital recently.
You don't say. Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
Goodbye.
Das ist aber ein
Miss
guter
Cox.
Hinweis. Okay, was das davon auf sich hat, das werden wir erst im nächsten Part rausfinden. Wenn es euch bisher gefallen hat, lasst einen Daumen hoch da oder ein Abo. Ich freue mich über beides und dann sehen wir uns in der nächsten Folge Vampyr wieder.
I'm a tracker